I'm Patrick Sweeney. I'm an assistant professor of molecular and integrative physiology at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. And our lab works on understanding the neural pathways or the neural circuits in the brain that regulate feeding behavior and how these pathways are altered in conditions like obesity, as well as how drugs that are used to treat obesity act on these central feeding pathways in the brain. So Ozempic and Wegovy, the active drug is called glucagon-like peptide 1 or GLP-1. This is a natural compound that's released from your gastrointestinal tract after you consume a meal. And it acts to stimulate insulin secretion, which is why it helps for diabetes, type 2 diabetes. But it also acts in the brain to terminate food intake or to signal satiety. And what these weight loss drugs do is they take that natural drug, that natural chemical called GLP-1, and they make it very, very stable and very active so that when you administer this to an individual with severe obesity, it curbs their appetite and they essentially don't feel the need to eat as drastically. It also has massive effects on food cravings, for example, and it's been very, very effective, much more effective than previous weight loss drugs at reducing body weight. The actual receptor in the brain that GLP-1 acts on is expressed throughout the brain in many different brain regions. So they can have a variety of effects in addition to their ability to reduce feeding. In terms of side effects, oftentimes people will report nausea, vomiting. One of the things the drugs do is they slow gastric emptying, so they slow the food passage through the GI tract, and this can sometimes lead to feelings of nausea or a condition called gastroparesis. Unfortunately, as soon as you stop the medication, oftentimes people will regain the weight. This is true for not just for drugs, by the way, like people who diet, people who have bariatric surgery, this also occurs. It's thought to occur because there are circuits in the brain that the brain has a sense of your body weight set point, and once you stop taking these drugs, it will go back to the previous set point that you're at before you were taking the drugs. And it's still a very active area of research. These are life-saving drugs for individuals with type 2 diabetes. They're really game-changing drugs for individuals with very severe obesity, and they work really well in those conditions. However, they're not necessarily intended just to lose a few pounds, and there are other strategies such as dieting and exercise, which really should still be your first option if your goal is just to lose a few pounds. So I really want to note there is a shortage of these drugs, and they are amazing drugs for individuals that use them. So please make sure you consult with your medical provider. Just be wary of online providers or companies that are trying to sell you compounds like semaglutide, and make sure that you get these compounds from medical providers where you can really trust that you're getting what it says it is.